Tokyo, March 1945. Before dawn. The ash is still warm. It settles on everything, on the remains of walls, on the edges of canals, on the backs of hands, on the faces of people moving through what was, 3 days ago, a neighborhood. The smell is not fire anymore. Fire has a living smell. This is what comes after fire. Still. Final. No buildings stand on the eastern side of Sumida River. Only the grid of streets remains, marked now by absence rather than presence. A woman moves through this grid with a cloth tied over her nose and mouth. She carries a wooden bucket and a short-handled tool for moving debris. She is looking for something specific, not valuables, not sentiment, something she needs in order to continue. She will know it when she finds it. Her movements are economical. She does not pause to look at things that cannot help her. She steps over beams, around foundation stones, along paths that were once familiar and are now familiar in a different way. Not as streets she walked, but as the shapes of streets she walked, the geometry remaining after everything built upon it has gone. Her hands are wrapped in cloth. The ash works into every crack of skin and stays there. She has stopped trying to keep her hands clean. She washes them when there is water and accepts the rest. She finds what she is looking for, a portion of a ceramic water container, intact, large enough to hold several liters. She examines it for cracks, turns it in her hands, sets it in the bucket. Then she continues. On the night of March 9th and 10th, 1945, American B-29 bombers dropped incendiary bombs across 16 square miles of Tokyo. The fires burned through wooden neighborhoods built close together, moving faster than people could move away from them. Approximately 100,000 people died in a single night. 1 million more lost their homes. She knows these numbers only imprecisely. She knows the number of people from her block she has not seen since that night. 7. She knows the number of days she has been sleeping in the remaining half of a neighbor's house. 3. She knows the number of meals she has eaten in those 3 days. 4. Which is less than she has eaten before, but more than some. The calculation continues. Water comes from a pump near the remains of a school building 2 streets north. The school itself is gone, but the pump survived, which is the kind of detail that 1945 Tokyo is full of. Random survivals, arbitrary losses, no pattern that can be used to predict what will remain. The queue at the pump is long in the morning. People arrive early with whatever containers they have, ceramic jars, metal pots, glass bottles, anything that holds liquid. They wait without much conversation. There is a shared understanding that the queue will move, that the pump will continue to work, that each person will receive the same opportunity as the one ahead of them. This understanding is not spoken. It simply holds. She fills the ceramic container. She wraps it in cloth to cushion it inside the bucket and walks carefully back through the ash grid. Food distribution happens at a point near the river in the early afternoon. Not every day. Every other day, sometimes every third day. The distribution is organized by neighborhood association members who have continued their work through the bombing and after it, because the work continues regardless of what has happened to the neighborhood itself. She receives a small amount of rice and a portion of dried vegetable. This is approximately what she has received at each distribution. She does not expect more. She prepares it over a fire made from salvaged wood in the open air, because there is no roof to cook under, and the fire needs to breathe. The rice cooks slowly. She watches it. Steam rises from the small pot and disperses into the April air, thin, white, ordinary. Around the remains of this neighborhood, the same pattern repeats in every direction. Women moving through ash with containers, queues at functioning pumps, small fires with small pots. The neighborhood association members with their lists and their measured portions. Children carrying things, helping, learning the routes without being taught them. The old woman from the house on the corner has established a system for sharing information. Anyone who learns something useful, where a distribution point has opened, where timber is available, which streets are passable, tells her, and she tells everyone else. She sits in the same place each day, beside the remains of her front wall, and people stop to speak with her and receive from her. She is not a leader in any formal sense. She is simply a point through which information flows. In the absence of ordinary infrastructure, this is enough. Evening comes slowly in the Ash City. The light changes color as it filters through the dust and smoke that still hang in the air weeks after the fires, turning golden, then orange, then a deep amber that is almost beautiful if you do not know what is making it. She returns to the remaining half of the neighbor's house as the light changes. The half that stands has one room intact, with a roof and 3 walls. The 4th wall opens onto the ash field where the rest of the house stood. She has hung a cloth across this opening. The cloth moves in the evening wind. She sets the ceramic container down carefully, checks it for any new cracks from the journey, finds none. She prepares the evening portion of rice over a small fire just outside the cloth wall. The sound of the fire is small and steady. There is a particular quality to the silence of Tokyo in the spring of 1945 that those who survived it described in different ways. Some said it was the silence of a city holding its breath. Some said it was simply the absence of the sounds that a living neighborhood makes, the commerce, the children, the ordinary friction of many people in close proximity. Some said it was not silence at all, but a different kind of sound, the sound of people continuing. She eats the evening rice slowly. The cloth wall moves. Somewhere across the ash grid, another small fire burns, its light just visible in the growing dark. In 1945 Tokyo, what remained after the burning was not ruins in the conventional sense. Ruins imply something complete that has been reduced. What remained was a foundation, the grid of streets, the geometry of a city. And on that foundation, people were already beginning the calculation of what could be rebuilt from what was left. She does not think about rebuilding tonight. Tonight she thinks about tomorrow's queue, tomorrow's distribution, whether the ceramic container will hold through another day of use. The fire burns down. The cloth wall stills. She is still here.